Okay, so you know how it is, you're really trying to get a handle on what's moving and shaking in the business world, especially when it comes to making a splash and getting your message out there.
Uh-huh.
You've sent over a ton of really interesting stuff on business transformation and marketing,
Yeah,
and it can be really tough to cut through all the noise and figure out what really matters.
absolutely. It's a lot to sift through.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
for sure.
And you've pointed us to Seth Godin's Purple Cow
Right.
as kind of a centerpiece for this deep dive.
Yeah, that's a really crucial one.
And what we want to really dig into here is how businesses can stand out.
Yeah,
Like, it's
well,
not just about being good anymore, right?
it's not
You
enough.
really got to be remarkable.
Absolutely. And that's the core of that whole purple cow idea, right?
Exactly. It's about creating something that people actually notice in a world where everything's kind of just blending together.
Right. And this isn't just some trendy buzzword. It's actually the key to surviving and thriving, especially when the old ways of marketing just aren't cutting it anymore.
It seems like it's more important now than ever, no matter what industry you're in,
Absolutely.
to really get why this purple cow thing is so important.
Yeah.
It's worth taking a look back at how marketing used to work.
Right. Like the good old days.
Yeah, there was a time when there was this sort of standard playbook,
Hmm.
almost like a checklist you could go through.
Yeah, the 5 Ps and all that.
Yeah, you had to have the right product, the right pricing, the right promotion, positioning, you name it.
Right.
The idea was if you ticked all those boxes, you were golden.
Like a recipe.
It's almost hard to imagine now, isn't it?
Yeah, things have changed.
That if you just had a decent product, set the right price, and advertised enough, you were basically guaranteed to succeed.
I mean, it worked for a while,
Yeah, it did.
but it's not that simple anymore. The landscape is completely different.
The sources you shared point that out in a big way.
For
And I think one of the most interesting things to think about is how much the whole TV industrial complex has changed.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
You know, this idea that people's demand for stuff was directly tied to how much they saw it advertised on TV.
And companies could just grow by pouring more money into those ads.
Right. It was this giant feedback loop.
You build it, you put it on TV, and people buy it.
It was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it worked like magic for a long time.
But it's almost quaint now, isn't it?
It is.
To think about that. Like this idea of one message reaching everybody.
Right, like everyone's gathered around the TV.
Exactly. The audience today is so fragmented.
Oh, totally.
You know, you can't just throw money at ads and expect the same results.
Nope, it's not a guaranteed return on investment anymore.
The sources you sent really highlight that.
Definitely.
It's like the return on that investment has just gone way down.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
They talk about these different eras of advertising, right?
Uh-huh.
So first you had before advertising.
The word of mouth era. Yeah.
Exactly. Then came during advertising, where mass media was king.
Oh, yeah, TV, radio magazines.
And now we're in this after advertising world.
Where things can go viral in an instant.
Right. It's all about ideas spreading through networks and connections.
And it happens so fast.
Like that viral video example you mentioned.
It's incredible how quickly things can take off.
But that presents a whole new challenge for businesses, doesn't it?
For sure.
I mean, how do you get noticed when everyone's already bombarded with information?
Right. People have so many choices, so many distractions.
And they've become experts at ignoring ads.
It's like they have a built-in ad blocker.
And it's not just about finding new customers either.
Right.
It's about reaching the people who already like what you do.
Your existing fans.
Yeah, the people who could be your biggest advocates.
But ones who would actually spread the word.
But if what you're offering is just kind of average,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough to get them excited.
Yeah, it's not going to light anyone's fire.
So that brings us to the big question, right?
The million-dollar question.
If just shouting louder to everyone isn't working,
Then what is?
what's the alternative?
And that's where the purple cow comes in.
That's where it all clicks.
It's a complete shift in thinking.
Instead of saying, let's make a safe product and market the heck out of it,
Yeah, just try to spin it.
you're saying, let's create something truly remarkable that people will actually seek out.
Right. Build it so good they can't ignore it.
It's like you're not putting lipstick on a pig anymore.
No more lipstick.
You're breeding a whole new animal.
Purple one.
Your sources use the examples of Tombstone Pizza and aspirin.
Oh, yeah, the classics.
Back in the day, those were things that everyone needed.
And everyone wanted.
So mass marketing made total sense.
It was a no-brainer.
But imagine trying to launch a new pain reliever today.
In a world of Tylenol and Advil,
Or a new yoga book.
when everyone's bookshelf is already overflowing,
The market is so saturated.
it's tough to stand out.
It's like trying to make a ripple in a pool that's already overflowing.
You just get lost in the noise.
And one of the things the sources emphasize is that most people can't actually buy most products
They just don't have the need
or the resources.
or the desire.
So this idea that you have to make something for everybody,
It's not really realistic.
it's just not efficient.
It's spreading yourself too thin.
And that's where this idea of sneezers and early adopters comes in.
Ah, yes, the sneezers.
I love that term.
It's so catchy.
It's very visual.
It is.
So you shared some stuff about Moore's diffusion curve.
Right, that classic bell curve.
And it shows how new ideas and products spread through different groups.
Yeah, you've got those innovators at the very beginning,
The people who are always on the cutting edge.
then the early adopters who are quick to follow,
And then you have the early majority and the late majority.
the folks who are a bit more cautious,
And finally, the laggards, who are the last ones to catch on.
the ones who are still using flip phones.
And the key takeaway here is that the majority of people, those early and late majorities,
Yeah, the ones in the middle of the bell curve,
they often look to those early groups for guidance.
they want to see what the cool kids are doing.
They trust their judgment and their experiences.
So if you can get those early adopters excited,
They become like these super spreaders.
amplifying your message.
And that's where the sneezers come in.
They're not just early adopters.
They're the ones who actually spread the word.
They're the influencers.
The sources call them idea virus spreaders.
They're contagious.
And it's not just that they adopt things early.
They're also credible.
People actually listen to them.
They have influence.
And here's a really interesting point.
Go on.
A product that's designed to appeal to absolutely everybody,
Mm-hmm.
it often fails to excite those sneezers.
Because it's trying to be everything to everyone.
It's too bland. It's too watered down.
It doesn't have that spark.
Those sneezers have seen it all.
They have so many options.
They're not going to get excited about something that's trying to please everyone.
Nope, they need something special.
So the strategy has to shift, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to conquer the whole market at once,
Yeah.
you focus on a niche.
A specific group of people.
You create this really potent idea virus that resonates with a smaller but passionate group.
A group that's likely to spread the word.
And if you can do that,
That idea can potentially explode outward.
from that niche to the mainstream.
It's like a ripple effect.
So now the big question is, what actually makes something remarkable?
How do you turn an ordinary product into a purple cow?
Right.
The sources offer some great contrasting examples.
Yeah, they talk about the Four Seasons versus Motel 6,
Two very different approaches to hospitality,
and Walmart versus Neiman Marcus,
appealing to different ends of the market.
and even Nokia constantly releasing new phones compared to Nintendo sticking with the Game Boy for what felt like forever.
Right. Very different strategies.
What do you think is the key takeaway from those comparisons?
Well, it's not about fitting a specific mold.
Okay,
It's about being different.
being an outlier.
Yeah, those companies all achieve something remarkable by becoming outliers.
In different ways.
Exactly. They weren't trying to be all things to all people.
They picked a lane and they owned it.
Yeah, they went to the extremes, either high-end or budget-friendly, mass market or niche.
But they were committed to their approach.
And that's what made them stand out.
The sources point out that the market leader usually got there by doing something remarkable.
Right. They were the first to do it.
So just copying them won't work.
No, you gotta find your own remarkable.
Because that ground has already been claimed.
It's taken.
And it makes you think about all the advertising we're bombarded with.
Oh, it's relentless.
The sources talk about this study where people read the Wall Street Journal,
Mm-hmm.
and afterward they couldn't remember a single full-page ad they'd seen.
It's like our brains are filtering them out.
It's incredible.
It really makes you think.
And it highlights this idea that just being aware of something isn't enough.
Right. You can see an ad a million times.
But doesn't mean you're going to buy the product.
It doesn't translate to sales.
They make a funny point about Coca-Cola. Maybe their slogan should have been, "I'd like to teach the world to drink."
Instead of sing.
Exactly. Because being remembered doesn't automatically equal a purchase.
It's just the first step.
But the sources also talk about innovation that actually changes behavior.
Yeah, like Otis elevators with the pre-sort button.
That's brilliant.
It completely changed how people use elevators.
It wasn't just marketing. It was a genuine improvement.
It made the product better.
And then there's this idea of cheating in a good way
Cheating.
by gaining an unfair advantage,
Just like that.
by being fundamentally different and remarkable.
So like finding a loophole.
Yeah, and they give examples like JetBlue using underserved airports,
And offering a better experience at a lower cost.
and Starbucks redefining the coffee shop,
Yeah, turning it into a third place.
and Amazon's huge selection and convenient delivery.
And Google's whole approach to search.
These companies didn't just tweak things.
They changed the game.
So if being remarkable is so crucial,
Yeah.
what are the dangers of just being ordinary?
Right. What happens if you blend in?
The sources paint a pretty bleak picture.
It's not pretty.
They say that trying to appeal to the broadest possible audience,
Can actually backfire.
it can lead to these really bland products,
Designed to offend no one.
but they don't really excite anyone either.
So you end up with boring products and huge marketing budgets.
It's a catch-22,
You're stuck.
and fear plays a big role.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of criticism,
Fear of failure.
it can make companies play it safe
And produce these unremarkable products.
and ultimately just don't stand out.
And they fade into the background.
The sources make a great point, though.
What's that?
Criticism of your project
Mm-hmm.
is not a personal attack.
It's not about you.
It's about the work.
And that's an important distinction.
They mention companies like Buick and Drugstore.com
Okay.
as examples of brands that are fine,
Not bad.
but not really exciting either.
Just kind of there.
There's no cow there.
No purple one, at least.
And it's interesting to contrast that with Chip Conley's Phoenix Hotel.
Right? The Rock and Roll Hotel.
They specifically targeted a niche,
Musicians and their fans.
and they ignored the mass market.
Yeah, it worked.
They created something truly unique and memorable.
For their target audience.
Exactly. And that brings us to this concept of passion,
Oh, taku.
that intense desire that goes beyond a hobby.
Like a true obsession.
The sources say this otaku is often the driving force behind a purple cow.
It's the fuel.
So businesses should look for markets where that passion already exists.
Right. Find the people who are already obsessed.
They use the example of hot sauce versus mustard.
Oh, yeah.
People are really passionate about hot sauce,
There's a whole culture around it.
but mustard is just mustard.
It's not as exciting.
And so often you see passionate founders and employees
Yeah, the people who really believe in what they're doing.
who have this otaku for their own products.
And that passion shines through.
They give examples like Howard Schultz and coffee, the
Starbucks.
folks at Patagonia and the outdoors,
Yeah, they live and breathe it.
Dynamo Hudger, and nail polish.
She saw a gap in the market.
And that passion often translates into remarkable offerings.
It's authentic.
And this changes how we think about marketing, right?
Big time.
It's not just about promoting a finished product.
It's about building the remarkability into the product itself.
The sources call it market-centric design.
Yeah, the marketing starts at the very beginning.
So marketers have to think like designers and inventors and influencers.
It's a multifaceted role.
And then they give this amazing list of purple cow examples,
From all sorts of industries.
like Lionel Poylene's Bakery and their dedication to quality.
The best bread in Paris.
Logitech, constantly improving their computer peripherals.
Focusing on user experience.
Zespri, launching the golden kiwi to a specific target market.
Latino foodies.
Dr. Bronner's, with their unique packaging and message.
It's a whole philosophy.
And even J. Peterman's catalog writing.
So unique, it became a parody on Seinfeld.
It's amazing how many different ways there are to stand out.
And the list goes on and on.
We see Pearl Jam building a loyal following with live albums.
Giving the fans what they want.
Curad making bandages collectible.
Oh, new.
The USPS successfully rolling out ZIP Plus 4 by focusing on early adopters.
The people who would benefit the most.
And even Dutch Boy with their twist-off paint can.
It's the little things.
And then there's Krispy Kreme and their hot late signal.
Fresh donuts.
McDonald's France being surprisingly honest in their marketing.
A bold move.
Motel 6 consistently offering clean and cheap rooms.
A winning combination.
Hallmark.com, recognizing the potential of their Gold Crown Club members.
As sneezers.
Tracy the Publicist specializing in plastic surgeons.
Finding a niche.
And Target offering cool stuff at affordable prices.
Thanks to people like Robin Waters.
It's really inspiring to see so many different approaches.
It proves that it can be done.
The sources even talk about how Stu Leonard's dairy store lost some of its initial remarkability.
Yeah, they got complacent.
It's a reminder that even successful purple cows need attention.
You can't just rest on your laurels.
And they have these fun examples of doing things that are just not done.
Like what?
JetBlue, hypothetically considering a passenger dress code.
Interesting.
A plastic surgeon offering gift certificates.
Wow.
Stu Leonard's letting customers pick their own strawberries.
That's a new one.
And they talk about this concept of being the mostest in some measurable way.
A most of some.
Like Craftsman Tools Guarantee.
Unbreakable.
Google's minimalistic homepage.
So simple.
The Bloomberg Terminal being indispensable for its users.
A must-have tool.
The Four Seasons personalized service.
Going above and beyond.
LL Bean's generous return policy.
No questions asked.
Jesse Gregory James's custom motorcycles.
One of a kind.
The niche focus of growafrog.com.
For frog enthusiasts.
Companies like Just Bulbs and Just Shades specializing in one thing.
The experts.
Volvo being known for safety.
Always a priority.
It showed that focusing on an extreme can create remarkability.
Taking it to the limit.
But the sources also say there's no one-size-fits-all formula.
Right, there's no magic recipe.
But they do talk about a general approach.
Or maybe the lack of one.
They emphasize pushing boundaries and exploring the edges,
Testing the limits.
challenging yourself to think about the extreme.
In every aspect of your offer.
Pricing, packaging, functionality, target audience.
The whole shebang.
It's not about finding a guaranteed tactic.
It's about experimentation.
Seeing what works.
And a really key element is the power of a slogan.
Ah, yes, the slogan.
A good slogan for a purple cow is like a script for your sneezers.
It gives them the words to spread your idea.
Think about Tiffany's blue box.
So iconic.
Or the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
You know exactly what it is.
The message is clear and concise.
Easy to remember and share.
And they tell that funny story about the Haagen-Dazs owner.
The one who gives out his home phone number.
Oh, talk about memorable.
But they also warn against the trap of compromise
Right.
and just trying to be the cheapest.
It's a tempting strategy.
But it often leads to boring products.
And it's not sustainable.
Competitors can always undercut you.
It's a race to the bottom.
The real power in pricing comes from rethinking your process,
Finding ways to be more efficient.
creating a real cost advantage.
That's the key.
And this leads to the magic cycle of the cow.
The 4-step process.
First, you get permission from your customers to communicate with them.
Build that relationship.
Then you equip your sneezers to spread the word.
Give them the tools and information.
Then you milk your purple cow for all it's worth.
Maximize your profits.
And then you reinvest those profits to create the next remarkable thing.
It's a continuous cycle.
And they emphasize building a permission asset
Like an email list.
to facilitate that cycle.
It's all about connection.
And this all reinforces the idea of marketers as designers.
Right.
It's not enough to just promote something that's already been made.
You have to be involved in the creation.
Marketing starts at the very beginning.
It's part of the product development process.
The sources encourage marketers to learn about design.
And designers to understand marketing.
It's a collaborative effort.
A true partnership.
Looking ahead to the future of brands,
Yeah.
the sources analyze the top 100 brands from 2002.
Interesting.
And they point out that many were built during that TV industrial era.
Back when TV ruled the world.
But a significant number achieved success through word of mouth.
By being remarkable.
It makes you question the heavy reliance on traditional advertising.
If word of mouth is so powerful.
Why are we still pouring so much money into TV ads?
It's a good question.
And they offer this really handy checklist for assessing remarkability.
I like checklists.
They ask, is your offering the fastest,
The slowest.
the cheapest,
The most expensive.
the biggest,
The smallest.
the rarest, the most complex?
It's about finding those extremes.
It's about standing out.
In a meaningful way.
So to sum it all up,
Yeah.
the message of Purple Cow is clear.
In today's noisy world,
Being remarkable is essential
it's not optional.
if you want to cut through the clutter.
And achieve sustainable growth.
You have to be different.
You have to be noteworthy.
And it's not about being weird for the sake of being weird.
It's about being intentional.
About creating something truly valuable.
For your target audience.
Something that your sneezers will be excited to share.
With the world.
So here's a final thought for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about one aspect of your work or your business that feels kind of boring.
Uh-huh.
Now take a few minutes and brainstorm ways to make it remarkable.
Shake things up.
Think about those edges we talked about.
The extremes.
How could you inject some purple cow into what you do?
Find your purple.
We hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights
I think it has.
and sparked some new ideas.
For sure.
We encourage you to take these concepts and explore them.
See how they apply to your own situation.
Your own purple cow might be closer than you think.
It just might be.
You never know.
The possibilities are endless.
That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely.